to another Ask Me Anything, where we sit down with a representative from HACF's Nonprofit of the Month and learn about their organization and how it makes the greater Helena area a better place to live, work, and be. I'm Emily Frazier, Director of the Helena Area Community Foundation, and this month we are featuring United Way of the Lewis and Clark area. Thank you for joining us in your offices today, Emily. Not to be confusing.
Right. The Emilys, they're here. We're
Yeah,
here.
both Emilys. Yeah, we get this a lot, by the way. We can get into that later. So
That's another video.
that's
altogether.
a whole other video. It is. So please introduce yourself and your role at United Way.
Yep. I'm Emily McVeigh. I'm the Executive Director of the United Way of the Lewis and Clark area.
Great. And what does that mean?
Well, we are 82 years old in Helena. We're
Sure.
part of the United Way Network, and we have 36 official partners that are nonprofits that do human services type work, and we have 6 community impact programs that we run out of our office with 4 staff.
Now, I'm going to ask you a hard question. In 10 words or less, tell us what your organization does.
We act as the hub or the backbone agency for a lot of our community impact work. So we do work in housing and homelessness. We have free tax clinics. We help support the 211 resource directory that's online and a phone number. We have a volunteer connection website.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of things
helping
the community connect with other options.
Yeah, cool. That was way more than 10 words.
It
but
was,
still,
I
very
know.
interesting. We also have some questions from our viewers on Facebook. It might be viewer at this point, but we're
Okay.
growing our audience. So we're going to pick a few of these and roll through them. What is one thing you wish people knew about your organization?
One of the most important things is that we donate to, people can donate to any nonprofit of their choice. They don't have to pick United Way, they don't have to pick one of our partners. We do fund any nonprofit that people choose when they give their donations through the United Way.
Sure, and then some of that's like a giving at work model and some of it's just straight donations, correct?
Correct. People
Awesome.
can do it any which way they donate, online or through workplace giving. Yep.
Cool. So you recently held a Housing is Healthcare Summit. I mean, like real recently.
Yes.
Like you're
last
probably
week.
not recovered from it recently.
Still haven't checked all my emails.
Yeah, we're glad you got here. If you could summarize the main takeaways of that gathering, what would they be?
This was our second year of having that summit, and it's part of the Fuse project, so we have a lot of partners in that project. So the second year, it grew substantially. There was more trainings and more people attending, and people are really interested in how to help people that are unsheltered or unstably housed in our community, because that's a growing need. And so it was really great to see the vast interest from different members of the community. We have a landlord appreciation breakfast just to say thank you to the landlords that accept Section 8 vouchers and work with people that are low income and not raising the rents that are unattainable for a lot of our people that we work with. So we start out the week with that. We had 2 different photo opportunities for people to look at. 2 local artists did photos and storytelling about our unsheltered population, so people could see, really raising awareness about who our unsheltered population is, where they come from, what their hopes and dreams are. So that was a really great opportunity.
Connecting
for
to their
people.
humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes we just see this as, oh, this is a problem or this is an issue. We forget it's also a person.
Yeah,
It's a person
absolutely.
with a story and a life.
And there are people who have worked in our community for years and years and can't afford rent. There are families in our community that have been pushed out because rent is too expensive, and most of our population has employment or some sort of income, and they just can't make it right now in the rental options that we have. And so we're trying to build on different creative solutions. Friday we had breakout sessions about how to work with vulnerable populations, creative solutions for housing, how to work around policies. So we had the community come and say, here's what we think is going to work for Helena, and we'll take all that back, put it together, and try to make plans as part of the Move the Dial project, which is under the Community Health Improvement Plan. So we're gonna
Lots of links.
I know.
Yeah, lots of
We're out
groups.
working with lots of teams, lots of people, lots of connecting community resources, and saying, here's what Helena thinks is going to work in Helena, and let's move that forward.
Now, as part of the Housing is Healthcare model, kind of this housing first idea, where it's instead of creating a lot of barriers, it's just get somebody in a house and then it's much easier for them to deal with the other things that are contributing to their difficulty in.
Yeah, Housing First is a proven practice across the country, and if we can put a person in housing and then wrap care around them, then they are much more stable and successful in remaining in housing. They see about 75 to 80% of the people across the country staying in housing long term. If we do that, use that model. It's similar to the permanent supportive housing model that we have in town already, and we've had that for years.
Sure.
It's just making sure that that support network is wrapped around a person once they're housed. We would never want to house a person and then just say, good luck, and walk away. We know they have things that have led them to be unsheltered or to be unstable in their lives, and we want to make sure we're providing resources so we can help in those areas.
But sometimes, you see other programs where it's like, well, we will get you housing, but first you have to prove that you're not using drugs, that your mental health is in a good state, and it's sort of like these things it's really hard to fix those things when you're sleeping.
Well, and that's
outside.
part of Housing First means we know where they are on Tuesday when they have an appointment for a therapy session or a doctor's appointment, and their caseworker can go pick them up at their house and take them to that appointment. It's really difficult to do if you don't know where you're going to find them from day to day, and you can't get people to appointments and stabilize their care if they're unsheltered and moving around all the time. And it's really hard to get people employment if they don't have a place to store their belongings during the day safely while they're at work. And a lot of times things get stolen, they lose their medications, and so again we're back to not treating their mental health issues because they can't get medications that they have long term. So lots of reasons to provide them with a safe place to stay, a safe place to store things, a place to shower, so when they look for jobs they're clean and presentable. So housing is very important. It's basically the bottom tier of needs in being safe and secure in your life.
Right. You mentioned another program, and you called it FUSE, which I know what FUSE means. It's frequent users
systems engagement.
So I know what that means, but I'm not sure everybody else does. So can you just give us a real quick version of what that means?
Yeah, FUSE is working with the people who are using the majority of emergency resources rather than having stabilized care. So they don't have a doctor, so they go to the ER. They don't have a therapist, so they're calling the police and ending up working with the mobile crisis response team. Or they might not have a place to stay, so they're getting arrested, so they have a night in jail and food to eat. So using emergency services that are very costly instead of knowing the next steps to stabilized care. So trying to eliminate the use of emergency services in their lives and provide them with a doctor and a therapist and a place to stay.
So the FUSE system is kind of like identifying people who are using the system a lot and helping them find better ways to get care. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So
great system with St. Peter's.
Yeah, if you haven't read about it, do. It's really interesting, and honestly, like, once this has been implemented, big changes happen for the people that were frequent users.
Yeah, the success we're seeing in that program is huge. They've housed 17 of their clients in the past year and a half, which doesn't seem like a huge number, but it's a really big number in our world. The savings, and I hate to say savings, but the money that's not being spent on emergency care in the last 6 months was $1.3 million of people not going to the emergency room and not billing Medicaid for what could be a doctor's visit.
Sure.
And so the money that's not being spent on emergency services in our community for the last year and a half is really, really big. Every 6 months we're seeing about $50,000 in savings to the jail for people not being in jail and having housing instead. So it's, like I said, I hate to say savings because we want to be able to use that money in other ways, but it really is saving the services from providing to people that don't necessarily need it and leaving that open and available to the people that do.
Right, and I think that also, I don't know if you feel this way, and we've abandoned the Facebook questions, we will come back to them. I don't know if this is true for you, but for me, one of the contexts that helps with that is, we're like, oh, it's so expensive to help somebody in these ways, like with housing and stuff like that. Well, it's a heck of a lot more expensive because they don't have the right kinds of care, they have to use these emergency services because
Yeah.
that's all they know.
And consistently, the other communities that do housing as healthcare infused projects are showing it costs about 1/4 to house a person and provide them with stabilized care than it does to have them using
1/4.
emergency services.
Yeah. All right, guys. So help if you can. That is actually one of our Facebook questions. So how can our community help? I think you and I both hear plenty about. There's a homelessness situation or an unhoused situation is a term we prefer. But there's people hanging out overnight a lot of places in Helena that wasn't true even just a couple of years ago.
Right.
How can they help?
Get involved.
Okay.
Get involved in the Move the Dial conversations. Those are the conversations that are moving things forward in planning our next steps. There's an emergency shelter work group working right now, and we are pretty close to having an answer of what our winter shelter option will be this year,
Okay.
and hopefully for years to come. We're trying to find something that's long-term and sustainable, and not just spending money on a temporary option. So we're pretty close to hopefully having an answer to that this week. But
Great.
also, if you're really interested in what's happening, join a board at one of your local nonprofits. We're all working together on these
Yep.
projects, and so I know a lot of nonprofits that are looking for board members right now, including United Way. So get on a board, get to know what's going on in our nonprofit community. We have a great nonprofit community. We all work together really well.
Yeah.
And so if you're on one, you're going to get to know the others.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, those are our main Facebook questions. So I want to ask you, do you have any events or projects that you have coming up that you'd like us to know about? I can think of one.
Yep. So we're helping support the Balloon Festival that's happening this weekend. All the donations will come in through United Way, and then we'll pay out there's 20 nonprofits participating. We were down helping Neil create the United Way balloon sculpture yesterday. And that room is just chock full of balloons. They're so cool.
Where is this happening? Being staged right now.
They're at the Doubletree in the basement. The Doubletree's
okay.
donated the basement for use of space for him to
Yeah.
build the structures. And as he builds, he's starting to move some of them out into the downtown businesses or in the area where they will be set up for the weekend. But people can just go down. There's a map online. They can go walk through the map area and check out all the balloon structures. And people keep saying, "Oh, great, a twisty balloon structure thing." No, I mean, these are life-size, bigger than people, gigantic structures.
Yeah.
And they're really cool. There's one at 10 Mile that's basically as tall as 10 Mile.
It's already there?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And
Okay.
they're supporting Many Rivers Whole Health.
Yeah.
And they're sponsoring that balloon, and that's already down there. And they're
cool.
they're amazing. They're big. You're not going to walk down there and look at a couple small twisted balloon.
Yeah, we're not
projects.
talking like little puppies or, I know how to make puppies. I know how to make unicorns, kind of. Yeah, but no, this is a whole nother level.
No, this is something like we've never seen in Helena before, and it's kind of been Neil's dream for years, and he's making it happen.
That's so cool.
And he's doing it by supporting nonprofits, and so you can go check out the sculptures, and then you can vote for your favorite sculpture or your favorite nonprofit by donating. And so you do it through dollars. You go to the United Way site, and there's a Donor Perfect page where you can donate. Much
So you
like
do it online.
Greater Helena Gives.
Yep.
And, so you just say, I
Can
like
you do it in
that.
person too? Can you take your little wad of change and drop it
They're
in
gonna
buckets,
have-
or is it mostly online?
It's online.
Okay.
Yeah, they want people to do it online. But there's also raffle prizes that they'll be selling tickets for attached to each nonprofit. And so there's lots of ways to support this weekend. And on Sunday, they will have the raffle drawing at 5, and we'll announce how much everybody's made and how much support the community gave. And then the final event is a balloon popping and
Which
taking the structures
hurts
down.
a little. It hurts
I
a little
know.
to think of
It's
it.
so sad.
There's all this build up, all this work, and then it's like, all right, let's take a needle and take it down. But we actually were very lucky at Helena Area Community Foundation. Neil created Dawn, our Greater Helena Gives mascot for Greater Helena Gives last year. And when he said he was going to do a thing, I'm like, that's great, thanks. And then I went into ours was at Blackfoot, and if you haven't seen this yet, go back on our Facebook page and find it, because
It's like a 9-foot tall Dawn.
It was
Yeah.
enormous. And she was beautiful. I mean, it was astounding. So Neil's, we're excited to have him in our community. This is Neil Sauter, if you haven't heard of him yet. And honestly, at Hometown Helena, we watched him he had literally had like a broken
brace
arm.
on
He had a
his
brace
arm.
on his arm, and he could still twist balloons and it's pretty impressive. So, so a fun thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so downtown map is online
Yes.
and on the United Way page or on where do they find the map?
It is on solderballoons.com. So
Solderballoons.com. Cool. And then if somebody wants to get more involved with the move the dial.
Move the dial.
The information about that on your website. Where can they
Yep.
find more?
They can go to our website. It's unitedwaylca.org, or you can call us at our office. It's 406-442-4360, or email us. Just any way you want to try to get a hold of us. Come
And I feel
down
like
to
if
the
you get
office
involved
and
at-
chat. Lots of people do that.
Being
Just
a
drop
board
by.
member for any nonprofit is always a great idea. But you also have the whole Volunteer Helena website, so whenever we need help, I'm like, can you help get this out? And she
Yeah,
does.
I call it the dating site for volunteers.
The
So if you wanna
dating
be
site for
connected to-
volunteers. Oh, what am I looking for?
Yeah. Well, it's like, I didn't even know that nonprofit existed. Now I want to go volunteer there.
Aw.
So it's a great way to learn about what's going on in town and what nonprofits are available to help out.
I love it. All right, well, thanks for being with us, Emily. You can also find more information about our Nonprofit of the Month, United Way of the Lewis and Clark area, on our website and on our Facebook page. In November, we'll be joined by the Montana Playwrights Network. And if you want to see your question asked at an Ask Me Anything, please submit it online. We will be posting these every month. And golly Moses, guys, the nonprofit community, I think, might like it because we're already booked through July of 2024. So stay tuned and tell us what you want to know. Thank you.